Okay, a question, chemotherapy. If you're doing that, if you have a cancer problem or anybody in your family does, chemotherapy is a two-edged sword. It kills everything. The problem is it doesn't work on cancer stem cells. What's a cancer stem cell? I kept going round and round. What is a fully cancerous cell that is running on glycolysis 100%? See, there's different grades with the oxygen impairment, and this bugged the hell out of me for a long time. But Warburg even had this. So you have a benign tumor. Everybody heard that, right? Benign. It's not going to turn cancerous, it's not going to spread, not going to be malignant, no problem. So what the hell is the difference between a benign tumor and a malignant one? Kept going round and round. Talked to pathologists over at MD Anderson, get some gobbledygook garbage, which led me to believe they don't understand what the hell it is at all. It's the amount of time with the impaired respiration. So if you're getting it on the front end, it's going to be a benign issue. Easy as heck to fix with the oils. Longer end, the thing is turned fully cancerous. It's irreversible. It's a one-way reaction. Once that cell is fully cancerous, you cannot bring it back. Somebody at Harvard wrote about how you could, and I sent her an email completely explaining why she was dead wrong. And she was wrong. Of course, I got no answer. You can't bring it back, and Warburg, the greatest physiologist that ever lived, you can't bring it back. It's one way. So the only way you can get rid of a fully cancerous cell, surgery, you remove it, or you kill it. Very hard to kill them. So chemotherapy kills everything. What it does is it leaves the most cancer virulent cells, and that's why it comes back in 5 or 8 years, and you're dead. So chemotherapy is a two-edged sword. You better solve the oxygenation problem right away. This is Dr. He, by the way. So Jan Michelson mentioned she was on it. I really appreciate her coming. And she wrote an excellent paper. You wrote an article that I quoted from about how the physicians are. Yeah, it was excellent. I quoted a lot, and she let me do it. That's how we met. And you were former president of the Association of Physicians and Surgeons, right? It's a big deal. So. Yeah, Barry Sears wrote, I used to have some respect for him until he wrote a book saying how, this is Barry Sears, he was a researcher at MIT, he didn't teach there, he didn't get his degree there, but he was over there, so I thought he had to be pretty decent. He wrote, what's it called, Enter the Zone? That was the diet. I mean, very tedious book. Then he wrote a book on how great soy was. Well, soy is a complete endocrine disruptor, so I hope nobody is eating soy here because it's food for a pig. I mean, we're in soy country. If you ever smelled it, you would go, yeah, you're right, no one can eat this. He wrote a whole book on it. Then he wrote a whole book on how great fish oil is. So I have absolutely no respect for him. He tried to corner the market with borage oil. Borage oil has GLA in it, which is the first derivative of the omega-6 side that I was telling you about. Well, it turns out there's a huge difference between evening primrose and borage. Borage is not real good. And when they got the results back from the science, they were sickened because it didn't work like evening primrose at all. A lot of his people see physicians that know of my work, and they say, get the hell out of my office, this is poison. Sears doesn't really give any science when it comes to fish oil. None of them do. I've never seen anyone give science of DHA and EPA with any metabolic pathways. The best I ever see is we think it's good because it shuts down the omega-6 side, which is inflammatory. All these people thought arachidonic acid, Barry Sears is the #1 jackass promoting this, that arachidonic acid is harmful. It is not. It is direct precursor of prostacyclin, which is critical to vasodilation and the platelets not sticking together to the arteries that I told you about. He was the single most one that screwed up an entire generation of people about this topic. Free arachidonic acid is an issue, but it's never in the body as free. So he is just sickening, really. really, really sickening. He was one of the first big fish oil guys, and just so far wrong. None of them give any science. That's my problem with them all. If you read my book, I mean, you've looked at PEO solution with the science in chapter 7. It's unbelievable, and it's not equivocal. I mean, there's no, well, if you look at it this way, no. There's about 25 problems with fish oil. And again, the biggest one is how much is in the body being used. Even in a big brain, it's 4.5 milligrams to 7.5, tops, 7.6 a day. So double it. I'm a conservative guy. Double the damn thing. I'll give you 15 milligrams a day. Compare that to what you're taking. It's just tragic. So Sears has never emailed me or anything. I'm sure he won't do it. I mean, he's going to lose anyway. I don't have anything else to say about that. Good question, though. Yeah.
5-hour energy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's in it. I mean, the typical way they do it is a carbohydrate source. When your long-term energy is fats, fat is what you're supposed to be running on. In your bloodstream, you have much more energy as free fatty acids, which is typically saturated fats. Your body isn't going to use these oils, the PEOs. They're too critical to just burn for energy. But it burns fat first. Saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, they're not essential. The parent omega-6 and parent omega-3 are, your body's not going to be burning them up. That's what's supposed to be used. Your brain is made to run on 2/3 your own fat and 1/3 sugar. What's our fine government done? Your brain runs on sugar. They all say that, right? No, it doesn't. You're forced overloading it, and that's why everybody's walking around in a brain fog. It's unbelievable. When you start cutting back those damn carbohydrates, you can talk like this. You have laser attention. I mean, I talk so fast and think so fast. I didn't used to be like this. These oils and less carbs. Not no carbs, by the way. Again, what do I tell people is good? 10 to 12 teaspoons of sugar. Every 20 calories carbohydrates, 10 is 200 to 240 calories a day. That is damn hard to do in a culture that's been told to live on 60 to 100, to go down to 20. But the biggest thing I've discovered is the protein powder fruit smoothie. Dr. Rowan got me on that. And my wife is type 1 diabetic. So this is how I did it. Okay, I'll try your damn fruit smoothie. Well, before I did that, he was saying how good fruit was. Okay, she's diabetic. Fruit is carbs. Going to give her 8 or 10 ounces of peaches, frozen organic peaches, so there's no junk in there. I calculated blood sugar should go up about 150 points. And I made sure she had high blood sugar to begin with. That way, the higher the blood sugar, the more insulin it takes to lower the same amount of glucose down. So it makes it very hard. If you're producing any, she's producing next to none. So no insulin shot, no nothing. Look at an hour later, it goes up 17 points. You go, what the hell is this? Can't go up 17 points. Supposed to be 150. We're doing this again tomorrow. Do the same damn thing tomorrow. 17 points. I said, holy shit. Where is this glucose going? Because it's in the fruit. I sent off to a lab and have them measure the fructose, the glucose, the sucrose, every kind of sugar you could measure. They did it. And it's in there. Then I started researching the GLUT pathways. That's where the sugar goes. Everybody looks at GLUT4. That's insulin in the blood sugar, right? The bloodstream. Well, there's about 15 GLUTs. What's happening is this is fueling the basal pathways. Never hits the bloodstream the way it would typically be measured because it's in there. It just can't disappear and be burned up. It's not. So the biggest thing for any diabetic or anybody that wants to lose weight is natural fruits. Now, some you can't do. You can't use a dried fruit. That's no good. And you cannot use juice. That's liquid sugar. But a peach, a blueberry, a strawberry, a raspberry, cantaloupe, watermelon, again, no dry fruit like figs or banana. And bananas are awful and pineapples aren't real good. I mean, a banana is just this mush, so it's not even, I mean, it's kind of different. But anything else, you get 25% to 50% of the blood sugar rise of any other food, like cake, ice cream, potato chips. It is the biggest bang for the buck, and everybody does have a sweet tooth. We do have a sweet tooth. I used to go nuts going, these oils will fulfill it. But we have a natural one. Sometimes even I'd get cravings. I mean, I used to have ice cream every damn day, a pizza every day. It was sickening. I mean, I'd have a pizza at 10 at night and go to bed at midnight and wake up at 4 in the morning and need water. Because every ounce of carbohydrate, you need 3 ounces of water. It's like a sponge. So if you're on a high-carb diet, you're bloated 24 hours a day, which is pretty stupid. Pretty stupid way to be. But never forget that. So when you stop the carbs, you're going to lose a lot of weight right away because it's water weight, but that's fine. You're never going to get it back. So by cutting out the carbs, it's beautiful. But I thought the oils would fulfill it. No. Primitive man 10,000 years ago would eat fruit. He'd be running around. So fruit is the natural candy, and it doesn't cause a problem. The diabetic endocrinologists never heard of this. They had no clue. I talked to them. They have no idea. Fruit is in its own special category, which shocked the hell out of me. So I can thank Dr. Rowan for that. Then if you add some of the protein powder, it makes it like a milkshake. So what I do is I take chunks of fruit, and I'll have this for the snack 7 p.m. Because I write a lot at night, so I'll watch a TV show, read medical journal articles, write. I'm going back and forth. But I'm like anybody else. You want to be doing something. Typically, you want to be eating because it's easy. I used to do jelly beans while I'm writing all day long and stuff, but you feel like garbage and you get fat. I mean, there's no way to blunt the sugar. Okay, everybody always asks me, I can't do it. There's nothing you can do. If I eat the carbs, I cannot block it. So get that out of your head. You just can't do it. The answer is don't eat them. And how do you not eat them? Well, your sugar cravings are fulfilled, and the fruit does it. And you make the smoothie with the protein powder out there, and you're going to drink a lot because it could be 2 or 3 cups. So your stomach is stuffed, and the sweet tooth is satisfied. You can put banana splits, pizza, ice cream, I don't care what the hell you put in front of you. You won't be able to eat it. It'll make you sick. And it's great. You wake up thinner because the water is in the fruit. The fruit's basically a water diet. Fruit's loaded with water, just like lettuce is 93% water. So all these people saying you need a lot of water, you almost need no water to drink a day. It's in the food, and they completely discounted that. So any lunatic telling you half a gallon of water a day needs to learn some physiology and what's in food. No, that is very harmful. And they've actually killed athletes by force feeding them water. And it's in the food. This 8 ounces, 8 times a day, glasses a day, was made up by the water industry. When you research it, the water industry. Brilliant job. Brilliant job.
You said a while back that you have to do
Mammograms I'm not big on because you're squashing breast tissue, and that's not real cool. And by the time you get by the time it even shows up on a mammogram, you've had cancer. What, 8 years? I mean, it's a long time. Thermography is my choice. Would that be yours? Hands down, and the only reason they didn't do it because thermography is so accurate. When they did them against the mammogram wouldn't show a problem. The thermography would, and they said the thermography's wrong because it's so advanced. And all the places have the mammogram equipment. They're not going to dump it. It's next to worthless. I won't let my wife ever have them. If you take the oils, you don't need them anyway because you're not getting the problem. Now, breast tissue is 85% fat. So would I expect that to be one of the #1 places for cancer? Absolutely. Absolutely. So you put these oils in there, some of it's going to go there. It's not the priority, of course, but it's going to go there. There's no reason to be getting breast cancer or uterine cancer, just none. If you have any kind of hyperplasia, I've consulted with a lot of women that have that. I say do not let them do any DNCs. Don't let them do a damn thing. Take these oils 90 days because they'll say it's urgent. They're lying to you. It's not. 90 days later, hyperplasia's gone. Every time. Every time. It's been 100% with that. So it's so easy to fix a lot of this stuff. And they all want to do procedures and make money. It's like anything else. I mean, you would expect a higher thing, and you'd expect a higher thing in pharmaceuticals. They're actually the worst. The worst industry in the world for fraud is pharmaceutical, by the way. A new one just came out with a $3.2 billion fine. Sanofi in France, I think they just got it. And these drug companies can pay it, by the way. 3.2 billion, 2.4 billion, every damn one of them. I don't care who it is, they're all fined for fraud. And nothing is done. And what they'll turn around and say, then you won't. See, here's the analysis they do. We could do it the right way with trials and advertising, and it's going to take 10 years. or we can do it the illegal way. It'll take 4 years, and then we're going to get a fine that's only 50% of what it would cost if we did it the right way over 10 years. I'd do it myself if I didn't actually care about killing you, which you would think they would, but they don't. All a pharmaceutical company cares about is, I can kill you, but I can't do it right away because then I get pinned. So the FDA, any trial where people are dying, it stops fast, it's over. But if it goes on for a year, that's why you see all these drugs coming out that get pulled, because they're killing people, but 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, now they can pin it on you. So a drug can kill people, as long as it doesn't happen too fast. They're happy as heck. They make a lot of money. Sickening. Just sickens me. Asiac is excellent. It's an Ojibwa Indian. That's one of them, and I recommend adding cat's claw to it so it's turbocharged. It's even better. It's the best blood purifier I know. So it's phenomenal. It coats the whole system with slippery elm bark too, so if you have any kind of heart disease issue, works completely different way than the oils do, but it's complementary beautifully. Phenomenal stuff. Couple more? Oh, one in the back. Pardon me? They have it. It's already, I think, mixed in there. You can get it where it's already mixed. And the best is liquid brewed for 12 hours. I've done tests where you can look at total dissolved solids. You don't buy any bang for the buck going more than 12 hours, but it takes 12 hours to get everything out of it. You could also take it in capsule form, and it's about 90% effective. You don't get the topical, so if you have a cold or something or sore throat, I love the liquid because it coats everything. I travel a lot, and I used to get all kinds of respiratory things on planes. Never get it anymore, but I'll drink like half a container of it. I'll drink 16 ounces, 2 cups, in a day, or 3 cups in a day if I'm doing international stuff. Never, ever get sick. And simulated digestion tests, I didn't believe it with the capsules itself, with just the herbs. It's 90% as effective. So if you're doing any kind of traveling, it's perfect, but if it's brewed right and it's acidified right, doesn't need refrigeration, you can travel anywhere you want with it, even in liquid. So the liquid is the best. If you have cancer, heart disease, you want the liquid. Yeah, the question is the statins, which are hellacious. These oils are transported by LDL cholesterol. Okay, it's a transport mechanism, so it's like magnetized. It's called esterified if you want the technical term. So by lowering cholesterol, you lower the oils. And part of that's good because I told you they're screwing up the oils. So you're lowering the screwed up oils. The problem is you're lowering the good oils too. So it was a decent first attempt if they really understood what they're doing, which I don't think they did. The discoverers of cholesterol, Goldstein and another guy that got the Nobel Prize for it, said to look at the esterified cholesterol, which is what I did. I never knew they said that, and then I discovered it a few years ago. They never said to lower it via statin. And statins are awful. They don't work. I've written extensively on it. They use what's called relative risk instead of absolute risk. You need probably 200 people for a statin. This is their numbers to even work over a 5-year period to save one life. I don't even buy it does that because it's statistically in the noise. Awful. Aspirin, if you have any kind of a heart clog, any kind of an occlusion, aspirin makes it worse. I wrote a whole paper called Aspirin is Awful. And it shuts down. This is what the non-inflammatory steroids do, the NSAIDs. They stop the parents from going to the derivatives, the PGE1, the prostacyclin, which is called PGI2. A steroid stops the entire process. They're awful. If you ask any physician, steroid long-term, anything but that, right? I mean, steroids are awful. I don't think most physicians understand just why they're awful, but they completely stop EFA metabolism. You will die long-term. An NSAID like Advil and Aleve and aspirin, shuts down the arachidonic acid part that Barry Sears was saying is bad. So they stop it going out of the cell, doing its stuff. It's stopping halfway, but the halfway it stops is awful too. The full-blown steroid stops everything. The NSAID stops about half of it. The problem is when you stop this, it stops it for a while, especially in the red blood cells. Aspirin screws up the cell permanently. The only saving grace is your red blood cells turn over pretty fast. A statin and aspirin is awful. And most of the cardiologists are doing this, right? I mean, it's their standard thing. Now they even have a new one that just came out that they're looking at, knocking cholesterol down even more. Cholesterol is critical. It is one of the most critical substances in your body. Your body makes it if it doesn't get enough dietarily, and it transports the PEOs everywhere. So statins you don't want, and aspirin you don't want. It's dead wrong. Send me an email or send the store something, and I'll get you that aspirin is awful report. It's not me saying this. It is horrific. You don't need statins.
Is there a substitute for Coumadin?
Yeah, Coumadin's a blood thinner. The PEOs are natural blood thinners. When they say blood thinner, it's not like oil. I have 10 weight, 20 weight, 30 weight. That's viscosity. Well, no, you would think it because they're using the wrong damn term. Because I asked some cardiologists, I said, what the hell is this term, thinner? Is it viscosity? He goes, no. It's the way they're sticking together. So the oils make it where the platelets can't stick together. It's like you got two same charges of a magnet. Two positive ends, pushes them. You have a positive and negative, they stick, right? So it can't stick to the artery wall and it can't stick together. That's a blood thinner. So the PEOs are natural blood thinners. So you can wean yourself off of the Coumadin, which is a god-awful drug, and you cut it back in half, and then another 2 weeks, cut it back in half again, go to your doctor for a blood test. I get a pile of people that are taking that stuff. It's the same thing as rat poison, by the way. It bleeds to death. It's a very bad drug. Plavix, all this stuff is awful. And you don't stop the oils. You keep taking the oils. You cut back on the damn drug because there's always side effects on the drugs. When they do drugs, typically what they're getting is the side effect. There's a pile of other stuff that it's doing on. You don't know how drug discovery is. It's typically never the thing that they're doing it for. It's always something else, and then they have to find a use for the darn thing. Like with Viagra, it wasn't that until they came up with, what it's good for. But if you look at a drug like Viagra, it's systemic extra blood flow. Now think about it. It's not just going into one area, it's going everywhere. It's why there's blindness problems with it. But everywhere is getting too much blood for a chunk of hours. That's not good. And they can't change. It's systemic. So you don't want drugs unless you really, really need them. Bad news. One more.
I have a middle aortic valve, so they want my numbers to be between 2.5 and 3.5. So how much?
The oils will be just fine. They're not going to hurt that at all.
What dosage should I take of yours?
Well, my recommendation, I like a teaspoon of this oil blend for every 160 pounds because it goes into the cell. This is one of the things that actually gets incorporated in the cell structure, so it's by weight. Minerals aren't. Anybody can just take 2 of them. They're coenzymes. They're not used into the damn cell. This is, so it's very different.
My question is, Dr. Askar suggested I take metformin to help lower blood sugar. Can you give me some input on that?
There's always side effects. There's always problems. Look, here's the bottom line. For blood sugars and diabetes, don't eat the damn carbs. The blood sugar doesn't go up, period. It's as simple as that. Don't eat it. It's not going to rise. I have a promise. Like, if I'm not fat, I don't need to live in the gym and be a rat in a treadmill. Don't eat the stinking carbs. And I just gave you the best way to fulfill the appetite is that fruit smoothie with the protein powder because it makes it more ice creamy. So I freeze the chunks of fruit. That way I don't need ice cubes. So I freeze the damn fruit. Just either buy it at the store. I mean, you can get it at any store. Watermelon, cantaloupe, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. It doesn't matter. freeze the damn thing, now you have its own ice cube. Just dump it in the blender. It's the fastest meal you'll ever make. Put it in the blender, put in a scoop of the protein powder, throw in enough water to get whatever consistency you want. You can make it real thin, or you can make it kind of thick. And you're not going to have a problem. That can be your entire dinner. Easy. Easy. And then you're not going to have a high blood sugar rise. Now, if you can't control it, then you need to do something like metformin, insulin. I mean, there's all kinds of drugs to do it, but they're all problematic. Insulin causes scarring at the site, so that's why you got to move the damn injection site around. It's not good, but you're stuck with it. And you don't need many carbs, and you can get them by the fruit, and you're not going to get the glycemic. The whole thing is a glycemic sugar rise. Fat will give you no sugar rise. Protein will get you next to none, too. There's some people that protein, they say it does. I mean, they email me that it does, but I've never seen it. Have you ever seen protein give people a blood sugar rise that's significant? I'm not saying a little. I'm saying a lot.
Well, no, but I have to say this new stuff about the bowel flora and glucose and diabetes and all that. I have to say, I think there's more to it than this in the sense that I think the bowel flora
That's the Brain Maker book. That's Perlmutter's book.
can have some of this. There's an argument for metformin just as an anti-aging tool that we're not perfect with our diet. We cheat to get this age things created, these glycemic endpoints you don't want, advanced glycemic endpoints, you want to avoid those. So there is some argument, I think, that low dose metformin may be everybody, but I'm agreeing with you on the other drugs. I love the pharmaceutical industry has figured out how to get governments forced to buy their product. I love to have a product like that.
They're brilliant.
There is some point to metformin. Bowel flora, I tell everybody to read the book Brain Maker. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, that's what Jan Michelson mentioned. Yeah, the Brain Maker one's a gut. Now, the whole lining is epithelial tissue. That's what I told you. It's just like the inside of the artery. It's the parent omega-6 oils. That is what the lining of every organ is made of. That's epithelial, endothelial tissue. So it's critical that you fix this in addition to anything else you want to do. But a lot more starts in your digestive system and gut than anybody's thought. I think he's a little off with the Alzheimer's. It's PEOs. It's the microcirculatory system. I'm absolutely convinced, and my time will come where I do trials. Our first one is going to be in mice, where I'm convinced these oils will stop metastasis, impede the hell out of metastasis. And metastasis is what kills you. That's what kills 90% of the patients. If the cancer doesn't metastasize, meaning spread, you're not going to die unless you have a tumor that's hitting on the central nervous in the brain stem where it's going to kill you, but that's kind of rare. But Alzheimer's, I'd bet my last dollar it's tied to these oils. And that'll be another one down the road, but I've got a couple of cool experiments I just need some money for. Yeah.
Healthy blood pressure ranges.
A good question, healthy blood pressure ranges. Whenever you get the 120/80, that's a textbook thing. There's always distributions. It's called a normal distribution. Biggest thing with blood pressure is you can't be running around for 10 minutes. You're supposed to sit in your tail for 10 minutes before you take it. Because if you get up, well, there's a change. If you want to measure your blood pressure, do it when you wake up in the morning and not out of bed. And you better have an accurate one, too. Anywhere around 120/80 is fine. The lower is not better. I mean, if you use that methodology, you'd go, then breathe twice a minute, that's better. Well, nature doesn't do that. And the heartbeat would be 40 instead of 70. You know, nature doesn't do that. So it's not tied to that. You got to be very careful, and lower is better, like these jackasses do with cholesterol. They're insane. They're absolutely insane. But these oils will normalize blood pressure in a large extent too. They also reverse cloggage. That's through PGE1. It reverses occlusions. And we did the Iowa experiment where we looked at people. Fish oil made you worse, hardened the artery. And that's when Dr. Rowan fell off of his chair. Because for 5 years he was around my work, but really didn't do anything with it. He kept saying, I need clinical. I said, I can't give you anything. I wasn't aware of this machine. Now I'm presenting a thing at North American Artery Association. Dr. Mitchell is going to be there. He's one of the top guys in the world on pulse wave velocity. So the harder the artery is, the faster the wave goes. So you can tell hardening of the arteries. So we're looking at doing a drug trial with that. It's a lot of money, and I need to raise it. But some interesting things are going to be down the road. Some very interesting things. With these oils as the basic, as the basis of everything. No pharmaceutical company is doing anything with lipids. You got a few do fish oil. There's 3 fish oil drugs, by the way. They tried like hell to get the FDA to say it's good for the heart. They never got it. So that's when I hear this fish oil stuff from these nutritional companies. Wait a minute. If there's one thing Big Pharma is good at, it is doing clinical trials. So they do these clinical trials, and it doesn't do anything. All they have is for high triglyceride levels. It lowers high triglycerides. Okay, good. It's the same thing. It's tied to the PEO structure. I mean, that doesn't really get my attention too much. But if you have a pancreatic problem, it lowers the triglyceride. It does absolutely nothing for heart disease. And a pharmaceutical company would get it. And Espinova was one that tried to get it, and no. So that's the proof right there. It never worked for heart disease. Omacor came out, I think in 2004 or something. That was the first one. They have one indication, high triglycerides. So it's good for nothing. That stops me right there. If Big Pharma can't get it done, it's easy to do the trial. Give it to 1,000 people and 2 legs and see who gets more heart attacks. Simple. Simple.
I had a question regarding, the NSAID.
The what? Regarding what?
The aspirin.
Aspirin.
I take it every day. I take
Well, yeah, your doctor probably told you, right?
No.
No?
Actually, no, she's dead set against it because I have
Do you have headaches? Why are you taking it?
well, I get migraines.
Headaches, that's just what I said. These oils are phenomenal for anti-headaches.
I take the Imitrex, and recently, I've been taking so much of it that it bothers my stomach. And if I have acid reflux, she doesn't want me to take it.
Cut the carbs. Big thing with acid reflux, cut the carbs. Everyone I've ever talked to, it goes away. It's caused by excess carbs. And you could do simple tests. Eat some scrambled eggs, eat 4 or 5 of them, no toast, and see what happens. You can prove this to yourself fast. And that's going to knock it down to almost nothing, but then with the oils, that's going to get rid of.
Oils, I was going to say, obviously, it sounds like
It's going to knock it out. You're not going to have it. You cut back the carbs, you have the oils. I don't know anybody that's ever hit me with acid reflux that hasn't knocked it out. With no drugs. Those drugs are awful. It's awful. And the headache thing, too. These oil, 80% of women get headaches, by the way. Probably give it to themselves, but, but they get them. These oils will help that. Also, a lot of, what the heck do you call it when you have seizures? I've had a pile of people with seizures, very anti-seizure. So they're phenomenal. They just hit so many metabolic pathways. Because if you think about it, a few things should affect a pile of stuff, especially if it's the brick and mortar. I mean, it's doing everything. These oils modulate everything. They modulate the proteins. They tell the DNA what to do because they go on and off. Everything is tied to these oils. They are just unbelievable what they do. A lot of this is in the books. And, I just can't stress that enough to get a lot of science behind you. Because the physicians, once they're out of medical school, their education is by Big Pharma. They just do what Pharma tells them. I'm even around a pile of doctors. They know better, and they're taking statins themselves. My own does it. Well, I'm taking yours, but I'm taking a statin too. I am a doctor. I say, that's okay, but what the hell are you taking a statin for? You read my stuff. They can't stop it. They are brainwashed. So it's not like the MDs have secret stuff. A lot of people go, there's conspiracy. They really know how to stop cancer. They really know how to stop this. No, they don't, because the doctors are getting the same damn diseases and dying the same way. The average doctor lives, 15 years shorter than the average patient? Yeah, doctor told me this. Habib, who did Hidden Story of Cancer with me. They live shorter, so they don't have a secret trove. There is no conspiracy except for big pharma. They don't want a disease solved, they want it manageable. They are corporations. They want $1 million patient, which means you'll have the disease, you won't die, we'll make your life easier and pay us. From a corporate view, I can't bitch about that. All I can say is it's your health, I would expect a higher standard. Well, the answer is there's a lower standard because it's so much money, people will do anything. They lie, cheat, and steal, and it's not the FDA doing it. When you see the drug studies that the big pharma people jerk with, it's incredible. I've read some of this stuff. So the FDA is trying, but if they're lied to with studies and there's side effects, but they get rid of all of them for different reasons, FDA doesn't see it. So the biggest thing is as few drugs as you possibly need, because there's always these things. My wife took one, Resolence, for diabetics. Remember when this came out? It was brand new, was another one to drop blood sugar levels. Decent doctor. I said, are you sure this drug's okay? Oh yeah, it's safe. I said, how do you know it? This is when I first started this. I said, how do you know it's safe? It just came out. Well, the answer is the pharmaceutical rep said it was safe. And then, of course, the drug is gone, massive lawsuits. Thank God it didn't screw my wife up. I mean, but the doctors don't know. They don't read this stuff, and they shouldn't have to. They're too busy treating patients. So I'm very empathetic with physicians. They don't have time for this stuff. And then there's information overload, so nobody can discern what's true and what's tin and what's gold. I can't give that to you. I can't give discernment to you. All I can do is give you the best science I can come up with. And then it's up to you to read it, and read it a few times so you can understand it. But I can't give you discernment. Because people will email me, well, a nutritionist said this and you said that. I said, if you can't tell the difference between the way I write and the way the nutritionist writes, I can't help you. Because they're apples and oranges. The nutritionists, my joke is, they're not qualified to teach nutrition because there's no science. They don't know any of it. They haven't read the textbook of medical. I don't know what the hell they even learn in school. But when I was over at Texas Southern University, I went to the nutrition department, and I saw the chairman, and he's on a breathing machine. And I look around at his books. I mean, I said, what happened? I had a heart attack. I said, well, if anybody shouldn't have a heart attack, wouldn't it be you with all these books? I said this. The guy that I'm in with is... So I see the president of the university, and I said, I can't be in this department. And he asked me about, what do you think about coconut oil? I said, you don't want to hear the answer, because he doesn't know anything. I mean, he's got all these science books, but no science. So I saw the president, I said, I can't be in there. He goes, well, how about pharmacy? I said, they're going to hate me too, because I'm not a pharmacist. But that's where I went, they liked it. I said, at least the pharmacist, there's real science. So that's where I was for a year and a half. And it was research. I mean, I didn't teach or anything. But they liked it. They said, you know, what you say makes sense. Our parents lived long lives, and we're not living today. So they liked it. Maybe two more, and then you can go home. Here's one.
Okay, I'm a breast cancer survivor. The breast cancer metastasized into the bones.
Woo.
So, yeah, so I'm reading this material, and it's very disconcerting, you know, and I've known about the oxygenation and all that, but, you know, day late and dollar short, you know, but...
Well, big thing is it coming back. You can do the best you can guarantee where it won't come back. There's another one, too, The Hidden Story of Cancer. That's in ebook. That was my first one.
Estrogen blockers, because estrogen dead for the rest of my life, you know.
That's not the answer. An estrogen blocker isn't the answer. The PEOs are the answer. And then the liquid herbal, too, for SEAC. You put the two together. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. But read The Hidden Story of Cancer from now on, so it doesn't come back. You don't want anything coming back.
No, but it's there, but, I mean,
You can keep it in check. It depends how bad, it depends on how long it is and how virulent it is. Question is, can you reverse the cancer? It depends what stage. Remember, if it's benign, you can make it where it never becomes malignant. But if it's malignant, I can't make it benign. I can minimize what's going to happen.
See, I never realized that once it's there, I mean, with the cells, that
If it's malignant once it's there,
right.
which means it's fully running on glycolysis. And you can't tell without doing biopsy. I mean, there's clinical things you can do to tell how much oxygen is there, but you're not going to get it. There's research labs like South Florida that can do it, and they do it in animals. One more over here. Who had one? Oh. Has what? Pancreatitis.
Her father has it, her grandmother, her uncle, her niece, cousin. These oils.
Well, that's one of the rare ones. If everybody has it, there's typically few things that are genetic like this. I've never heard of that before.
She got it right before she was 5.
What are the symptoms? What?
Excruciating pain.
And how old is she now?
She's gonna be 12.
So, wow. Other than the pain, what else?
They got her on 10 grams of fat a day when she first got it.
Well, these oils are fat. I mean, get the oils in her. They won't hurt at all. How much they help, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. But they'll definitely help, and the liquid herbal, too, will help. With 1 month, I mean, 1 month you're going to... The great thing with this stuff is it's fast. You don't need any faith. 1 month, you better see and feel a difference, or it's not going to help you. And the amount of people it doesn't help is pretty small because it's so fundamental, and it's the brick and mortar of everything. Arthritis?
Iritis,
What's that?
inflammation of the eye.
Any kind of inflammation, this helps because of PGE1, which is your body's natural anti-inflammatory. It also helps dry eye, by the way. I got somebody who's a professional writer. She was taking massive fish oil. She said, I read one of your papers. I'm sick of what it's going to cause because it's cancer causing. I said, I think the PEOs are going to fix it. So she did a 6-month test, superior to the fish oil. She's off of it 100% and no dry eye issue. She can write her tail off. So that just came in. So that was very, very nice because you hear fish oil for dry eye because the eye has a lot of DHA, EPA in it. But these oils take the place of that too. One last one. Good questions. Very good questions. Arthritis, very, very good. Osteoarthritis, where there's bone calcification, it's too late to help. But if it's regular arthritis where it's just painful, I have an arthritic joint. I used to. The oils and the liquid herbal never came back. Never came back. I mean, I bend my finger halfway, it would hurt. Yeah, it's a good question. Not big enough. I mean, I get to do lectures, but it's not consistent. So you want an integrative complementary medicine. If you pull that up, there's some societies, right? ACAM, American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. I've spoken there. There's a couple of them. That's something to check. They're at least open to things. They may not specifically know about the PEOs, but if you tell them about it, they'll be interested, which means 1 part in 1,000 they could tell. And you just look at the clog, there's none. Now, if a board-certified cardiologist doesn't know what the hell is clogging your artery, what hope is there for him to give you how not to have a heart attack? My mother went to one. I said, how's your cardiologist doing? Oh, he died. I said, what did he die of? Heart attack. And I said, why the hell are you using him? Well, he was such a nice guy. I said, don't you have any friends? You want someone that's more like me, that can be a real hard ass, but knows what they're doing. You're not after a physician to be your friend. You're after a physician to know what the hell they're talking about. So a lot of people get fooled. They want the great bedside manner, and that's okay if you can get it. But give me the technical expertise over the bedside manner any day of the week. I mean, he dies of a heart attack. Perfect. Perfect. I mean, what do you say to that? I mean, what the hell do you say? It's just tragic. It's like I went to a conference once and a guy was not understanding what I did. It was an anti-cancer conference. It's the head guy. How come they stopped the conference? He died of cancer. And he's writing books on how not to get cancer. So I tell people, if I get any of these diseases, you just got to have me shot and hidden. But I can't. I mean, again, what I really love is the theory is so strong that it has to do this. And I drive doctors crazy because they can't believe it either. Because I show them what I have, and they either glaze over, or a lot of top guys go, we don't understand the science. We don't get into lipids at all. I had the top fellow that used to be head of one of the drug companies for hypertension. He goes, Brian, I don't really understand your science myself. And he admitted it. So I give a lot of respect to that. So the question is, can you get someone to spend a month learning it? The answer is very hard. I mean, you're an exception. Dr. He spent the time to learn a chunk of this, but most don't. Dr. Gann, who wrote I Got a Confession to Make, spent it. Dr. Rowan, a lot of time around me. Took him 5 to 7 years to come on board, and that a long time. Even the science wasn't good enough for him. They got to see the clinical stuff. So my thing is the science. I mean, that's what Einstein said when they came up and said, you're right. He goes, you doubted my science. I mean, it was the same kind of a thing. This is so strong, it has to predict this. And it'll be the coolest thing when down the road some of these things can get done. Like stopping the metastasis in mice. I want to do that. It's about $100,000. There's one strain of mouse. This is how bad they are in oncology. They all knock out the immune system of the mouse. Then when they try to do the study in humans, it doesn't work. Well, because we have an immune system. But I told you cancer wasn't an immune issue. It's low oxygen. But you've compromised an entire system, and they're interrelated. So there's one guy that's smart enough to know you don't do this. You have a fully working immune system. So if it works in the mouse, it'll work in the people. So it's about $100,000 I need to raise to do this trial in mice where they have cancer and tracking the metastasis level to see how much down it is compared to the mice that don't get it. So that's what I'm working like heck on, raising that money so I can do that trial. There's been no success. Well, there is success, but you kill the patient, so the mouse dies. There's no drug that will stop metastasis. And that's the kicker. I mean, there's nothing. There's no nutraceutical. There's nothing that stops it. I think these oils will pretty much stop it. So that's my next big thing, and I'm finalizing the science putting together for that. It's about 15 pages with the different pathways, but it has to. So that's going to be the coolest thing. So you're the first people I've talked to this about, and it's 2015. So in the middle of the year. So give me 2 years tops, and hopefully I'll be able to come back and say I was right again. That's what I like. Well, thanks for coming, and read the books. Read the books. Thanks much.